Hey, Blue Table fans! Hey, please look at these empty ruins where I have put nothing for you to look at. We're going to take a look at some more of my figures that I have for Dungeons & Dragons, which I have done just for kicks, just for my own entertainment. Let's get these guys up. This is a set of 10 models from a Polish company called Cybor. You may have heard of them. They are fantastic. These guys, by the way, they are only like 85% done. I still have to put on a lot of finishing touches, but we're going to take a look at them. So these are called Degenerate Dwarfs. I've put them on 25mm bases. Now, let's get out Scalius, the Scale Skeleton. And, okay, hold on, almost there, 10. So here's our Scale Skeleton. So as you can see, these guys are really beefy. And in a way, when I opened them up, I was a little dismayed because they're so large. They're like man-sized figures. They don't look like dwarfs at all. Now, in my Dungeons & Dragons game, I'm using them as Duergar, gray dwarves, sort of the evil underground kin of the surface-dwelling dwarfs, and they're really, in the game, they are really a cool thing. Now, I say Dungeons & Dragons because, for me, that's a blanket term for a type of a role-playing game. And, in fact, I believe, if anything, Dungeons & Dragons should have already fallen into public domain, just like Tylenol or Kleenex, or a term that describes something generic. So, like, for example, if you say, I play role-playing games, people really won't know exactly what that means. But if you say, I play Dungeons & Dragons, even though they may conjure up some stereotypes, they know what that means. So it's an interesting term. So anyway, these are by Cybor, and guys, I love these figs. I was not disappointed. I did buy them off of eBay, and they were right around $45 for them. And so let's just take a look. First off, they normally come on square bases, and they're sort of geared to be used for the old Warhammer Fantasy and go on 25mm square bases, and indeed, I think that's what they come with. So anyway, you get some guys with shields, which I turned into a magic item called a Grimface Shield. It reduces one hit of over 25 points of damage down to 25 points of damage. So you get 4 of those guys, and the shields look super cool. These guys are so characterful. In fact, I just want to hone in on a couple of them. One of them, the bottom half of his shield broke off, but you know what? It didn't even matter because it still looked really super cool. In fact, yeah, there's that guy. This is the guy with where the bottom of his shield came off. You don't even notice. So here's that. And they look so cool. And I gotta tell you, a lot of things, like even Privateer Press, they fudge a little, and you might get 10 guys and 2 or maybe even 4 of them are duplicate sculpts. But with these guys, each and every one was a different sculpt. They have so much character. I just love them. Now, I did their skin a somber gray, which is a bluish gray by Vallejo, and it's very cold, and I thought it was better than actually making them a true gray color. But they did turn out extremely blue. And so I'm still kind of on the fence about it. Now, this is the equivalent of that color. Somber gray is the same as Space Wolves gray. So if you're wondering how I did it, da-da-da, that's it. And I would consider these maybe a level 4 when I'm done. Definitely a level 3 blue table painting scale paint job. And by the way, the blue table painting scale is really a tremendous tool for anybody that might want to use it. And I'm more than happy to pass that along if you have a studio or you have any need to rank miniatures really well on a scale of 0 to 10. And by the way, it's like the Richter scale in that it goes up exponentially, like there's giant leaps. So a level 7 figure, for example, is the same as painting 18 level 3 figures. It scales up like that just by going up 4 ranks. All right, so anyway, now this guy was the standard bearer, but as you can see, I put a dark elf man catcher on him, and in the game I use these two as spellcasters, and because they are a little different than the other guys. And then you get 4 guys that just have hand weapons, and I have different stats for these, and they have different names and stuff like that in the game. Now, I don't know if I mentioned this on one of my other videos, but part of the reason I'm doing this is I realized that when I was doing miniatures battles like 40K or whatever, I was really leaning in more towards the storytelling aspect of it. And so I got to a point where I'm like, well, why don't I just do role-playing, you know? And because that's really my thing. Because ultimately there's sort of the specter of competitiveness that looms in a group. It's not bad, I'm just saying it is. So when I'm painting, you can't really see it on these figures, but I go in and I do a 2-tone of a rust red, which is almost a brown, on top of the black. And then I do 2 more layers, giving it sort of a sepia look. And that's before I even put any color on. And then I undertone it with a very deep purple color. And so my paint jobs, which, by the way, I'm only saying these are tabletop. I mean, I just, you know, I'm no boutique painter by any means, and neither is my studio. Although many of my artists can do that level, and we certainly offer that. Level 7 is where I would say boutique painting starts, where somebody's spending a really notable amount of time just on single figures. Yeah, so levels 3 and 4 are just for, you know, your groups of guys. And although 4 is pretty solid, and then 5 and 6 are for, again, an army of guys, but you want the heroes to kind of stand out. And then level 7 and 8, you're getting up into where, you know, you would put them into a display cabinet. And even then, you know, it's a toughie. You got people who are ready to spend 40 hours, 80 hours, even more on a figure, spending 6 months getting it ready, one figure ready for competition. And there you're pushing into level 8, obviously, but 9 and 10. And I might even have to add an 11 now, based on some things that I've seen that I have not seen before. So anyway, all right, well, I'm blahing about all sorts of different things, but here they are. That is your Cyborg Degenerate Dwarfs. And I got to tell you, I love these models. It was worth every single penny to have the complete joy that I've had putting them together, painting them, and bringing them to life in a role-playing setting. And so there you go. Also, since I can just talk as long as I want on this video, I'm gonna start setting them up in like a big group. So anyway, as you know, Valhalla is a thing now. It's gotten into the consciousness of the genre that we're in, the hobby that we're in, and it's successful. It's doing really well, and what I'm starting is to do mini Valhallas just for role-playing. And I've talked about this for 3 years. While I was at the Miniatures Battles Valhalla recently, you know, there was a guy who said, you know what, Shawn, we were talking about this last year, and here you are this year, and you're actually doing it. And I really did. I rolled up my sleeves. I built a ton of terrain. I've imagined it to life. I've made inroads on the facility. I've really got something to potentially unveil to you guys in the near future. So the old Valhallas from circa 2012, those were up at Sundance in these amazing lodges. And hold on a second. All right, these amazing lodges, well, one in particular, and we only had like 10 to 12 people. there, and it was that was really a good size. And that's what I imagine for ultimate fantasy role playing. It would be to come out for a week, get this really outstanding experience running through an adventure. All miniatures, all terrain, myself and an assistant DM, and of course the food, the setting, all of these things coming together for a world-class, one-of-a-kind, over-the-top fantasy role-playing experience. What is the best experience you could have doing this? And I'm telling you, if 13-year-old Shawn could step through a time and space portal and see what I'm doing now, he would just be beside himself. And I think this is only the beginning. Well, anyway, blah, 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 blah. Here's your Duergar Grey Dwarves, which I've interpreted from Cybor Degenerate Dwarf Kit. So thanks for tuning in, and I hope you got your inspiration for the day.